You thought he would chase you. But instead, he disappeared. Not because he was afraid, but because he had power. Because a masculine man doesn't beg. He chooses. Welcome to Dark Psychology 101. Today, we'll explore why masculine men don't chase. They disappear. Part 1. Who is the masculine man? You think being a man means chasing her, proving your worth, convincing her to stay. But what if the strongest man is the one who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and simply walks away? Let me show you something Carl Jung discovered, something most men today have completely forgotten. The great psychoanalyst Carl Jung once said, "Masculine energy is not about blindly chasing someone. It's about clarity, direction, and the ability to maintain inner order, even in chaos." In the system of 12 psychological archetypes, the truly masculine man is a fusion of the hero, driven by purpose, not the need to be loved. The king leads with presence, not desperation for validation. The warrior acts with discipline, not emotion. And here's the thing. None of these archetypes chase anyone. They choose. They lead. They create their own world. Picture two men. Man A, the chaser. Texts every morning, buys gifts, begs to see her. The more he's rejected, the harder he tries to prove his worth. In her eyes, he's predictable, needy, and lacks mystery. Man B, the confident one. Engages deeply, but disappears if he feels disrespected. Doesn't overreact, doesn't interrogate. In her mind, why doesn't he need me? Who is he, really? Man A loses attraction, even if he loves more. Man B sparks curiosity, even if he says less. Why? Because a truly masculine man knows. Value doesn't come from chasing. It comes from being chosen. A man who hasn't faced his own darkness will always project it. He chases because he's running from the emptiness inside. You don't need to change the world, start here. 1. Pause before chasing. Ask, am I doing this out of fear of loss? Or do I truly see something meaningful here? 2. Write down your personal mission. Masculine men live by purpose, not by the desire to please. 3. Practice silence over reaction. The less you say, the stronger you become. Jung called this invisible inner strength. 4. Train your body. Meditate. Reconnecting with your body is the first step in restoring your logos, your clear, masculine reason. So what happens when a masculine man feels disrespected? Does he get angry? Does he argue? No. He disappears. And when he does, his energy lingers. Like an invisible fingerprint burned into the mind of the woman who noticed, too late. Part 2. Why do masculine men disappear? He doesn't argue. He doesn't send long texts. He's not angry. He just vanishes. And the strange thing is, when he disappears, you can't stop thinking about him. That's no accident. That's dark psychology, and it's stronger than any words. Silence, the most powerful psychological weapon. Carl Jung called it power through withdrawal. In dark psychology, disappearance isn't escape, it's a deliberate strategy. It sends 3 powerful psychological signals. 1. I don't need you to feel whole. 2. I'm not emotionally dependent on you. 3. I have boundaries, and you just crossed one. This hits a deep instinct in women. If he can walk away from me without fear, he must be worth more than I thought. Disappearing versus The silent treatment. Silent treatment is a childish game, silence to manipulate and provoke. Masculine disappearance is a mature decision. I withdraw my energy from where it isn't respected. The key difference? A masculine man doesn't need you to realize you were wrong. He only needs you to feel the weight of his absence. And it speaks louder than 1,000 words. According to the Journal of Behavioral Psychology, 2021. The strongest emotional reactions don't come from yelling, but from unexplained silence. Withdrawal of energy without threats. Psychologists call this psychological interruption. It's like listening to your favorite song, and it suddenly cuts off during the climax. It's addictive. Obsessive. It triggers imagination. It makes her ask, "What did I do wrong? Does he really not need me? Why isn't he coming back like everyone else?" Scenario 1. Man A gets angry, argues, sends 20-line texts, begs over the phone. She reads it once, then forgets. Scenario 2. Man B, once calm and deep, senses disrespect and quietly disappears. She thinks about him for months. What happened? That's why the masculine man doesn't need to say much. His absence echoes louder than the presence of hundreds. It's not always time to disappear, but if you notice these signs. 1. You're constantly being disrespected. Your effort isn't appreciated. Your boundaries are repeatedly crossed. 2. You start reacting instead of leading. Texting to check in. Arguing to be understood. 3. You're no longer yourself around them. You feel the need to prove, please, or maintain an image. In all 3 cases, disappearing isn't avoidance. It's reclaiming your masculine energy and identity. But the story doesn't end there. What happens after a masculine man disappears? One of 2 things. She returns, but he no longer holds the same power. Or, she never forgets him. Because when a truly powerful man pulls away the right way, he leaves behind the one thing that can't be replaced. Regret. In the next part, we'll break down dark psychology, why disappearance haunts her more than any love confession. You've never heard this before. Part 3, dark psychology, why does she become obsessed when you disappear? You disappeared. No explanation. Not a single goodbye. And strangely enough, that's when she started dreaming about you. Looking up old photos. And going crazy over one question, why doesn't he need me? Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." When a man pulls his energy out of a relationship, the other person is forced to confront themselves. They have to ask, what did I do wrong? They have to sit with the silence that offers no closure. And worst of all, they must live with the possibility that they're no longer the chosen one. That's when the mind starts spiraling into obsession, not because of love, but because it can't handle uncertainty. Neuroscientists at MIT found that dopamine, the feel-good hormone, spikes not when you get a reward, but when you almost get it, then lose it. Which means you show up as captivating and mysterious. You create a deep emotional connection. And then, you disappear. Now, her brain is locked into a never-ending loop. What just happened? I thought I meant something to him. Why doesn't he need me anymore? What do I have to do to get that back? You don't need to lift a finger. You don't need to say a word. Her mind will do all the work. Carl Jung called this unconscious reaction the shadow feminine. When rejected, the shadow feminine doesn't seek love, it seeks control. It doesn't want connection, it wants to reclaim power. When you withdraw, that power dynamic collapses. And that's why she becomes obsessed, stalks you, and tries to pull you back. Not out of love, but because she hasn't resolved the feeling of losing. Example 1. The nice guy who tries everything. After getting ghosted, he texts 3 more times. No reply. Blocked. Forgotten. Example 2. The man who shows up like a mystery. Speaks deeply. Honest. Respectful. But the moment he feels unappreciated, he quietly walks away. 1 week later, she texts, "Hey, how have you been?" 2 weeks, she starts trying to get his attention. 1 month, regret kicks in. Because a silent disappearance forces her to rewrite the story in her mind, without you around to answer it. Important, this isn't a game. It's a skill, controlling your energy and protecting your self-respect. 1. Only disappear when your boundaries have been crossed. Not out of anger, but because you see the truth. 2. Disappear without explanations. Silence is enough. Any justification will weaken the psychological effect. 3. Never return unless she reaches out with sincerity and real change. You are not allowed to betray your own dignity. Bonus, when does disappearing hit the hardest? After you've built a deep emotional connection. When she's felt your calm masculine energy. When you vanish without drama, no anger, no begging, just gone. That's no longer just an action. It's a silent declaration of self-worth. But this is only the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll dive into why your disappearance doesn't just leave her in regret, it also awakens a more powerful, magnetic, and mysterious version of you than ever before. We'll talk about masculine alchemy, the art of turning silence into permanent attraction. Don't miss it. Part 4. The rebirth after disappearing, masculine rebirth. He disappeared, not to punish, but to be reborn. Carl Jung described this process as individuation, the journey of returning to your authentic self, breaking away from societal roles. When a man removes himself from a toxic relationship, he doesn't lose a woman. He reclaims himself. It's not loneliness. It's the concentration of masculine essence. Researchers at the University of Colorado found, after consciously withdrawing from high-pressure relationships, 90% of men reported increased self-esteem, growth motivation, and stronger personal boundaries. Why? The mind is freed from trying to prove itself. Energy is redirected into the body, finances, and career. Silence activates the brain's natural self-reflection mechanism. This is the golden window for total elevation, physically, mentally, and financially. 6 months after he disappears, who regrets it more? Case A. A man chooses silence, but falls into addiction, sadness, and passive revenge. Result, she forgets him. And he loses himself. Case B. He doesn't say another word, but quietly hits the gym daily. Increases his income by 40%. Learns new skills. Reappears after 3 months as a completely different man, no longer waiting, no longer needing to prove anything. Result, she sees. She regrets. But now, she no longer meets the standards of the man he has become. What to do after you disappear? 1. Reset your goals across 3 pillars. Body, turn silence into physical strength. Finances, invest, learn, build your own empire. Mind, meditate, read, reconnect with your primal masculinity. 2. Stop watching your ex. Every time you check her story, you're sending weak energy. 3. Rebuild your masculine ecosystem. Join a brotherhood of men who uplift each other. Create a drama-free environment. Build disciplined habits, early mornings, training, deep work, and more silence. What happens next? You won't need to act strong anymore. You'll become strength itself. When she misses you and comes back, you don't need to reply right away. Because now, you no longer live to be chosen. You are the one who chooses. Disappearing isn't a tactic to win someone back. It's a rite of transformation, like a snake shedding its skin, like an eagle flying higher. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you pause, observe, and step out of the game, you're no longer ruled by unconscious emotions. You begin to take ownership of your life. And the irony is, the moment you no longer need love is the moment you become most loved. If this part helped you recognize the power of silence and masculine healing, like, subscribe, and share it with a man who may be lost. Because in the next part, we're diving even deeper. The final test, when she comes back, how will you respond? Will you forgive her, or go silent once again? That's the final test. Part 5, she comes back. What will you do? She texts you. Not a long message. Just, "I miss you." And then, silence. So now what? After everything, how will you respond? This isn't an apology. It's a psychological test. Carl Jung once said, "When someone comes back after walking away, they carry 2 things with them. 1. The truth you once didn't want to see. 2. The opportunity for you to answer the question, who are you now?" You're not choosing between forgiveness or revenge. You're choosing between holding on to the past, or living as your stronger, evolved self. According to research from Harvard University, when a love story ends without closure, the brain keeps returning to it, trying to write the final chapter. That's why, when an ex texts you, your heart races and your mind feels confused. Not because of love, but because your brain never finished the story. So the real question is, will you write that final chapter with your own hands? Or let them write another tragic sequel? Two choices, and their price. Choice 1, let her back in. When she's sincere, takes real action, and shows she's changed. But you set the conditions. No going back to the old version. New boundaries. And you do not sacrifice the self you've just reborn. Choice 2, smile, and keep walking. When you know deep down she didn't come back for you, but because she lost control. When your emotions are still, and you no longer feel the need to hold on. When you finally understand, just because someone regrets losing you doesn't mean they deserve to have you again. The real price isn't what happens with her. It's whether you go back to the old role, or step into the powerful version of you that emerged from the pain. Your masculine, non-reactive response. 1. Don't respond right away. Stillness is power. Let yourself observe your own state first. 2. Ask yourself, what do I need? Not what she needs. Your decision must come from your new self, not old memories. 3. Respond with your state, not with emotion. You might say, "Thank you for sharing. But right now, I'm on a very different path." No drama. No anger. Just calm and a distance she can no longer reach. Final truth, you don't owe anyone a second chance. Carl Jung called this the final integration. The last step in your psychological maturity. When you no longer react from old emotions, but act from personal truth. Forged through loss, silence, and rebirth. You have the right to forgive. You have the right to stay silent. And above all, you have the right to choose a path that doesn't repeat old wounds. She might come back. Old feelings might flood in. But if you are truly a man, you won't get swept away. You've become the eye of the storm, not a leaf blown around by the winds of life. So if you're staring at that "I miss you" message right now, pause this video. Shut your phone. Go for a walk. Not to respond to her, but to listen to yourself. And if you're ready to continue your journey toward becoming a grounded, powerful, and peaceful man from within, hit subscribe, because in the next videos, we're going even deeper into